Here's exactly how James Smith leverages personal brand, email marketing, and social media to make millions of pounds online across numerous different companies. Now, the first point to add to this is a lot of people will start a business and think that more businesses are better. The reason James can run numerous different businesses at once is because he's an authority figure, he's been in the game for a long period of time, and he has a team around him. You can't expect to come into business and launch 4 different businesses all at once and expect to make millions across the board. A lot of the time, having split focus across different businesses leads to all your businesses underperforming, and ultimately alienating the audience that you're trying to constantly pitch numerous different things to. So here's how James splits all 4 businesses out in order to run all of them to an incredibly high level. So firstly, it's important to talk about all 4 businesses. The first one being fitness coaching, which was his original offer. The second one being live events such as tours and seminars. The third one being business coaching and mentorship. The reason he's able to sell this is because he's actually been successful at it. And then fourthly, his energy drinks brand, Newtonic. Now, a big thing here that you'll notice is all of them have distinct and different branding. It's not like they're going to get mixed up between which business is which. You have the business coaching, you have the fitness coaching, you have the live events, and then you have a drinks-based company. Now, a big thing here is you're never going to make money unless you actually have an audience that's going to feed into the funnels and systems that you have in place. So James has a big following across numerous different social media platforms. For example, Instagram, TikTok, and then YouTube and Facebook. Instagram and TikTok, he has millions of followers across them, and then he uses YouTube as a longer form content to build even more trust and even more authority. You'll see here his numerous different social media accounts that all feed into his numerous different businesses. Now, a big thing that James does incredibly well is you'll see that on his social media, he's not just constantly selling an offer all the time. You'll think that if you have 4 different businesses, you need to sell 4 times more than if you had 1. He uses his social media platforms to capture data, give free resources, and then sell on the back end with email marketing. He's not constantly selling on the front end. So he uses social media to drive people into free tools and to also drive people into commenting and DMing keywords to capture their emails, to then nurture them in the DMs, but also nurture them and sell them via email. And in order to run this at scale and not completely burn himself out, a lot of the email sequences will be fully automated. So when someone's email is captured, they enter into an automated email sequence that just sends emails, makes him passive sales, and allows him to scale his businesses without constantly being tied down doing every task. Now, a big thing here as well, because he has a huge following, a lot of his products will be able to be sold without a sales call. Whereas if you have a small following, you're not a big authority in the space, chances are you're probably going to have to sell a lot of your offers over a sales call. Now, his emails and the content that he sends out builds more authority, trust, and he handles a lot of essentially topics that people don't really talk about. He calls people out a little bit. He puts himself as an authority figure. He puts himself as a figure that he knows what he's talking about, and he calls out the BS in the industry. For example, you'll then see that he has numerous opt-ins to different free resources. 30 days, 30 insights, and 30 ways to optimize your business for his business mentorship. Affordable online coaching, macro calculator. His emails, then he constantly sends emails, so he's constantly then front of mind. And then he also has his courses that he'll sell people into. Now, a big thing here is he'll then have different email lists inside his email marketing software. So then all of his leads are categorized and he's not then just bundling them all up and getting them all mixed up. Now, as you get deeper into the funnel, we move away from more top of funnel awareness content into more middle and bottom of funnel, where we're essentially capturing data and selling people into offers. So his content then can get more specific if we're looking at the business mentoring product to then essentially sell content related to this. He then also has funnels that are very specifically designed with huge amounts of urgency, limited offers, and huge amounts of social. Now, because sales are being made without a sales call, funnels need to be designed to an incredibly high standard. So you notice funnels will be custom built for conversion. There's a big difference between building funnels purely based off visual look and purely based off conversion. He has a good mix between the two where they look visually appealing and they also, most importantly, actually make sales. As well, a big thing here is that the video sales letters, the VSLs on the funnels, they're short, they're authentic, they're personal, and they leverage James's strong personal brand and trust. A lot of the time, people will build massively long VSLs on sales pages, which people then don't even get halfway through, let alone to the end where you're actually making a pitch and an offer. So you want them to be concise, you don't want to faff around what you're trying to get to, and you want to make sure that it backs you and your brand. So to summarize, James's funnel, it's a multi-layered system. It starts by capturing leads with free value and free content, and then it nurtures them with email sequences and his personal brand. He then essentially isn't reliant on just social media. Even if his channels went down, he'd still be able to consistently make sales because he has that proof and that audience away from the social media platforms. He then builds trust by positioning himself as authentic, challenging competitors, and then converts leads into sales with well-designed offers, social proof, and urgency tactics. Over time, he diversifies into events and product partnerships for even more revenue, but a big key point here is he didn't do all of that to start with. He had one offer to start with, he scaled the one offer, and then he gradually branched out. A lot of the time, I think businesses think that they're going to make far more revenue by constantly launching new offers. A lot of the time you need simplicity and you just need to scale one offer to an incredibly high standard and then only think about scaling out from there. A lot of the time there's far more money to be made honing in on your marketing for the one product than there is spending time developing a new product, which ultimately takes you away from actually marketing.